Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome. My name is Vanessa, but if you're watching live, you know that because this is my personal page. Welcome, happy Tuesday, happy almost winter solstice, happy holiday season. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you, whoever you are watching this, if you're watching live or if you're not watching live, that you're doing well. This is the first time I'm doing one of these lives on my personal page, and I've been working up to it all year, and it's almost the end of the year, so I figured I would finally do it and see how it goes. So for the past year, I have been doing Trecena updates on my page, sovereignlove.nyc, where I share updates on the Aztec calendar, specifically the Trecena, which is a 13-day period in the Aztec or Mexica calendar. And the Trecenas are similar to weeks, and each Trecena is reigned by a specific energy, similar to how we have different seasons based on astrology. Like we have Capricorn season, Leo season, and all of that good stuff. And so with the Aztec calendar, which is a solar calendar, the ancient Aztecs and Toltecs knew how to identify these energies and work with the energies. And so for the past couple of years, I've been working with the Aztec calendar, learning to identify the energies and trying to align to these energies too, to help me be a little bit more in alignment with nature. Hi, Apollo. Hi, Tabitha. And so that has been really interesting, and I have been sharing a little bit of that on my Sovereign Love page. I also do Aztec birth chart readings, where I share a little bit about how the energies during the time you were born, similar to an astrological birth chart reading, how those energies influence you, how you can work with the energies to work with the energies rather than against them. And I think sometimes when we know a little bit more about the energies that are present at the time that we are born, we're able to understand ourselves a little bit better. So anyway, today marks the beginning of a new Trecena, a new 13-day period, and the energy of the first day of the Trecena influences the entire 13-day period. So this Trecena influences us until the end of the year, which is pretty exciting, and I also thought very fitting because the Trecena starts today on Cuetzpallin, which is one lizard. And the energy of the lizard is very much like the lizard, right? Kind of lazy, basking in the sun, very slow. And I love the idea of slowing down at the end of the year, especially. One thing I've been really feeling into lately, as people are talking about depression, are talking about all of the energies, there's seasonal depression, there's exhaustion at the end of the year, and we live in a society that's very go, go, go. We have to rush to everything. We have holiday parties, holiday gatherings, work parties, and end of year deadlines to meet, and it's very exhausting. And we forget that we are also part of nature, and we're meant to slow down the way the rest of nature slows down. And I think when we start to feel that that desire to slow down, when we're not excited about all of the partying, when we're not excited about all of the hustle and bustle going around, we start to feel down on ourselves, like, oh shit, I'm failing. I'm not capable of keeping up with all of this. I'm struggling to be, as quick as everybody else. And when we have those feelings, we start to think, oh, something must be wrong with me. And we start getting down on ourselves. When truly during this time of the year, we are meant to be going inward. We're meant to be slowing down, looking, observing at our year, having a time of recapitulation, of observing where we've been this year, what this year has taught us, what we have been processing. And it's okay to feel the grief. It's okay to feel the sadness. It's okay to feel the loss. To have those, I think we forget that those things are also sacred, and we're expecting to be high vibe all the time. And when we're not, we think something is wrong. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being sad, with being upset, frustrated, and even grieving. All of that is sacred as well. And so the energy of the lizard, like I said, is very perfect for this time, because the lizard is all about regeneration, right? It's if you cut a lizard's tail off, it'll grow back. And it takes time to grow back too. It's not instantaneous. And so this is a great time for us to start taking stock about what we have lost this year, what we have pruned off of ourselves even. And it doesn't have to be a sad loss always, but we let go of parts of ourselves in order for us to continue growing, in order for us to regenerate. So this is a great time to slow down, to look at the parts of ourselves that we have lost or are ready to let go of, and allow those things to simply flow away, to slip away, to surrender to that loss and allow ourselves to regenerate, allow ourselves to come back into what we're ready to put in that thing's place, right? It's energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's transformed. So if we lose something else is going to come in its place, and we have the power and the ability to decide what gets to come in that place, what gets to be born out of that. But only if we're willing to slow down and observe the things that we're making space for, observe the things that we're clearing to make space for new things. And so for these next 13 days, as we're closing out the year, as we're going into the solstice energy, tomorrow is the winter solstice, and it's all about going through the darkest night of the year and bringing back the light. And I think when we observe these practices more than this go, go, go energy, we're better able to tap into those parts of ourselves. As I was saying earlier, our society is all about, being high vibe, keeping this high energy. And that's not always doable. It's hard to really be in that energy all of the time. And so the more that we are willing to accept this practice of slowing down, of taking stock into what we're feeling, whether we feel it's good or bad, those are all judgments that we project onto those things. We can simply be with those feelings and pull out whatever practices you have, whatever practices you have in your toolbox. I am currently reading The Warrior Heart Practice by Heather Ashimara, and she has this beautiful practice on sitting with your feelings, listening to the stories that your mind is telling you, then sitting with the stories, then what's the third part? I was just telling my dad this, and I also forgot what the third chamber was. Finding the truth. And truth is really more about grounding. What is true in this moment, in this particular situation. And finally, it is figuring out your intent. What is your intent in this situation? So these 4 steps help you when you're being triggered, when you're going through a really difficult process. Going through these 4 chambers, the Warrior Heart Practice, is really helpful. And then There are other practices. Byron Katie has the work. My friend Carla at Time to Heal Us, you can check her out. She recently put out an offering called F It, and it has 3 steps to help you reframe things and work through triggers. So if you check her out at Time to Heal Us, that's a really great resource as well. So find all of your tools in this moment and slow down. That's what the energy of the lizard is, the energy of Cuetzpallin, which is one lizard and is the energy that's reigning the next 13 days of this Trecena, or 13-day period of the Aztec calendar. And so for each of these Trecenas, for each of these 13-day periods, I like to pull some cards and get a little bit of insight. If you're not familiar with the tarot, I like to tell people, I like to share with people that, you know, there's so many different ways of working with the tarot. Whatever works for you is always best. But for me, I like to see it as a sort of mind mapping tool. The different cards represent different archetypes. And if I have a situation or if I'm looking for guidance on a particular subject, whatever cards I pull help me come out of my own perspective and instead look at it through a different archetype. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards here, and these are for this next 13-day period. The first card is the 5 of Pentacles, and Pentacles are our material wealth, the material realm, our material tools, the things that are available for us matter. And in this particular card, it feels more like sometimes we get caught up in the stories that we tell ourselves and we close ourselves off. If you see in this image, she's kind of contracted and looking inward, and there's a door and there's a key right there. And what happens is that when we contract ourselves, when we get really stuck in our stories, when we really get stuck in our limiting beliefs, we are not able to recognize all the tools that are available to us. And much like I was sharing before, there are many different tools available to help us process any difficult emotions, any triggers, any difficulties during this time of going inward. Hi Galila, I love you too. So there are different tools that we can use, like the Warrior Heart practice, F It, Byron Katie's work. Tools are available to us at all times, and the only way that we can access those tools is by being open. And as I was saying earlier, we have a tendency to be closed off and to really get stuck in our stories and think that we have to be a certain way instead of allowing ourselves to flow. Life is all about the ebbs and flows. The second card is the 2 of Swords, which came out in reverse. This feels like an invitation to... The 2 of Swords always seems to me like stop overthinking it. Stop being so much in your thoughts. The thoughts are like keeping you stuck in whatever stories you have. And so in reverse, this card feels more like allowing yourself to let go of all of those stories. And there's always a process to it, not just suppress those stories, but really allow them to come through. In the Warrior Heart practice, like I was sharing before, there's a part in the practice where you let the stories come out, you let them play out. And I used to do this for a while, where I would play out the stories in my head and let them get as ridiculous as possible. And the more I did that, the more I realized that my initial story was always ridiculous to begin with, but if I took it to its fullest extent, then it was like super ridiculous. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I can totally tell my ego is trying to freak me out, psych me out, distract me or whatever. And so the more we allow ourselves to hear the stories, give them space to play out, the easier it will be to let them go, to release them, and then really start making decisions from the heart. Really allowing ourselves to trust our intuition, which is our greatest guidance system. And the last card is the World. And the World is always about completion. This is a major arcana card, which means it generally represents like a bigger theme. And the World is all about completion. It's the 21st card in the tarot. And it's all ending a cycle. And we are ending a cycle. We're ending this year. And during this time, any time that we're coming to an end, much like death and rebirth, it's always best to slow down. Let it go easily. Let it be gentle. Be gentle with yourselves. Be gentle with your body. Be willing to listen to your body. What does your body tell you? When you're making plans for the end of the year, are you really excited to go to those events? Or is your body telling you, just stay home? I don't really want to do this. And honor that. It's so important to honor that. For the past couple of years, Danny and I have been just having a little ceremony at home on New Year's Eve. And honestly, it's always the best New Year's Eve party we could have chosen. We used to like really choose like, oh, we have to find a great place and figure out if we're gonna drive, if we're gonna Uber, and blah blah blah, and all these like plans. And it was always disappointing or exhausting or really not what we expected, and annoying to have to get home afterwards. And since we started having these intentional ceremonies at home on New Year's Eve, it is so beautiful and peaceful. It's so great to connect with each other, to have our own recapitulation of sitting together at the end of the year and saying, wow, look at what we accomplished this year. These are our goals for next year. This is what we want to do. Kind of have like a little game plan. But it's also very quiet and gentle on ourselves. We don't wake up with a hangover the next day. We're not super exhausted. It feels peaceful and loving. And that feels more in alignment with the energy of the season. Because, like I said, we have a tendency to want to go, but everything else in nature is slowing down. You know, it's getting darker earlier, the trees are going dormant, the plants are dormant, the squirrels, all the animals are hibernating, and we're the ones that are still going like crazy. And so the lizard medicine, the lizard energy reminds us, let's slow down. Let's take stock of what needs regeneration. Let's take stock on what needs to slow down so that we can regenerate, so that our bodies can heal, so that our bodies can have the energy to take on the adventures of the new year. And that is my message for you today. Thank you, Victor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking out this message. I hope it resonates with you. As a reminder, Danny and I are hosting a winter solstice event tomorrow in Brooklyn. If you want to join us, you can check that out at sovereignlove.nyc. And we also have gift certificates available for tarot birth chart readings and tarot readings, Aztec birth chart readings and tarot readings. You can check those out also at sovereignlove.nyc. And thank you. I hope you have an amazing end of the year, that you are willing to slow down and really take care of yourselves. These are really intense times, and I don't think we take the time to acknowledge that all that often, and it becomes really stressful for so many people. I honestly believe that is the source of seasonal depression, that we're constantly going at a pace that we're not meant to go, and our bodies recognize that. Our bodies recognize it, our spirit recognizes it. We're the ones that our brains are like, no, I have to catch up with everything else. So I really invite you to take that pause, to think of the lizard basking in the sun, relaxing, taking things slowly, so that we can meet the new year with the energy that's necessary, and also for that allowance of regeneration of ourselves, of our bodies, of all of the beautiful places that need love. So lots of love to you all. I wish you a happy winter solstice, happy Christmas, New Year, and everything else that you celebrate. Thank you for being here with me. Have a good night.